Well, good morning everyone. This is George Beiruthi from FS Securities giving you the weekly report for Monday the 24th of November. We start by telling you who we are. We're a stockbroking firm located on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia, and a bit more information about the company later in this presentation. But let me start with the disclaimer. Everything I say here is for general advice and general information only. And before you take any action, please consult with your professional advisor or talk to us directly. A copy of this disclaimer is available to you should you wish to receive it, just one phone call away. Today we give you some indication about our trades. We told you that last week the XJO finished above the level that we were concerned about. We wanted the XJO to finish above 5325 and it did, and all our clients with positions at those levels ended up making some profits. Now of course I show you on the screen now that we've got some more challenges coming up this week, and the question is, will BHP close above $31.50? Will CBA close above 79 and below 85, and will Macquarie Bank close above 59.01? Also we've got NAB and Rio to look at. So we like to actually share with you the positions that we have at FS Securities and ask you to be the judge. Alright, now let me start with the data that we got on the weekend. We start with Wall Street, where we woke up on Saturday morning to see that the indices in America were up. We've seen that the Dow was up by 0.5% that's actually at 17,810, all-time record high, and the S&P 500 also closed at 0.5% to 2,063. In Europe, the Stockmarket 50 index that comprises several European major markets was up by a mammoth 3%. That's to 3,194. And in London, the FTSE 100 index was up 1%. In Japan on Friday, the Nikkei index closed up 0.3%. And in China, the Shanghai index was up 1.8%. There was some very good news coming from China and Europe, especially in China, where they've cut the interest rate for the first time since July 2012 to keep their economy moving forward. And of course that will be good for our Australian market today, as we have a lot of miners involved in China. Alright, beside the United States and Europe, on the commodities, gold was trading on Saturday morning at $1,200 per ounce. That was up $6 from this time on Friday morning. Silver at $16.45, up 25 cents. Oil at 76.4 US a barrel. That was up nearly 1%. Over the full week, the gold, silver and oil were all up by nearly 1%. We mentioned to you about 4 to 6 weeks ago that we noticed that every time gold in the last 2 years dropped below 1200, it managed to very quickly recover and come back over 1200. Will it do it again this time? We think there is a good possibility, but anyway, stand by and watch out what happens in the next few weeks. Copper, the world's economic barometer, was up 0.6% on Saturday morning to 303 cents per pound. And iron ore, which is important for our miners such as BHP, Rio, Atlas Iron and Fortescue, fell 0.9% and finished at $70.31 per ton. That is still the lowest level in 5.5 years. We believe that iron ore may have found some kind of support around the $70 per US for the short time to come. On the currencies, our dollar is now 86.7 US a ton, 102 Japanese yen, 70 euro cents and 55 British pence, and these of course are intra-banks rates. So if you walked into the bank this morning, obviously you're going to get less than those rates. On our market on Friday, the year's gains on the market have been wiped out. Shares fell by approximately by 10 points or 0.2% to 5,304. And that was a drop for the 5th straight session to post their biggest weekly loss in 18 months. It was a bad week for the miners as well as the supermarket chains. Over the full week, the indices here in Australia fell by nearly 3%, and over the last fortnight, the XJO, the benchmark, lost by nearly 4.5%. The best performer amongst the leaders over the full week, we have Newcrest Mines up at 6%, and the worst performers, we have Woolworths, Wesfarmers and Rio, all down close to 6%. That's over the full week. We asked the question, is it time to start accumulating these shares? Well, you need to talk to us, obviously. We think there is a good time now to start accumulating more shares in your portfolio, especially with those stocks that fell between 5 and 10% recently. On the economic news today that can affect our market and those overseas, well, nothing major here in Australia. However, in the Eurozone, we have the consumer confidence. Local shares appear to rise at the open, taking their cue from gains in Europe and Wall Street after China cut the interest rate in a bid to break that nation's economic slowdown. The SPI futures contract was showing at least 50 points on the rise, indicating a nice positive start to the market. Okay, now as far as what happens here in an FS Securities, during the week our analysts usually places several stocks for picks and trades. This is only a summary of the position that you see on the screen. A more detailed information is placed on the website under our picks and trades menus. If you wish to discuss any of these stocks, all you have to do is call the office and we'll give you a little more information about them. Obviously you can visit the website and you see more detailed information. Alright, we like to update every morning the volume to show trend over the last 3 weeks. That also we show the ratio of advances to declines. You can see that the market has picked up steam in the last 4 days. The volume was actually rising. At the same time, you can see that on the red side, that's showing the declines exceeded advances for the last 8 days. Well, today I think it will be the first time that we will see advances increasing and exceeding declines, the first time in nearly 10 days. We'd like to show you also the big picture as far as advances to declines, and you can see here that the last 3 weeks, these figures here, the histogram is showing week by week. The previous slide showed you day by day. Now you can see that the last 5 weeks the advances actually were second to the declines. The decliners were actually a lot higher, to the ratio of approximately, well, the advances were 46%, whilst the advances on declines were 54%. That's not taking into consideration the stocks that moved sideways and did not move. Alright, finally I'd like to show you what happened on Friday in terms of stocks that went up amongst the top 200 leaders. Horizon Oil had a good day on Friday, as well as Medusa Mining. Northern Star, a gold producer, was up nearly 4%. BC Iron continues to go higher. On the negative side, we've seen that Qantas was down 2.4% after quite a substantial rise over the last couple of weeks, thanks to the price of oil having dropped to almost to low levels. Alright, finally we'd like to show you what happened over the last 2 weeks on the overseas market. You can see that over the last 2 weeks the Dow Jones was up by 1.4%, the Nasdaq 2.3% up, and the S&P 500 1.8%. The VIX, which is actually the fee gauge, was down to below 13. That indicates that the market is now a lot more positive than the other way. And in actual fact, having seen that the Dow and the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq reaching an all-time high, obviously that indicates that there is momentum on the US market. The US dollar index was also up by nearly 0.8% over the last 2 weeks. And the Australian dollar hasn't done too badly over the last 2 weeks, was up 0.4%. The euro was down 0.5% over the last 2 weeks. And in terms of the put to call ratio, we have a lot more calls than put options in the US, which indicates that the market is obviously got positive sentiment. On the commodities, the last 2 weeks gold went up by 2.4% and silver was up by nearly 4.6%. Light crude was down by 2% over the last 2 weeks, despite the rise of 1% last week. On the other commodities, we see that the last 2 weeks grains, wheat, corn and soybeans were all up. Especially wheat was up nearly 7.6%. Coffee continues to go up nearly 4.6% over the last 2 weeks. Now, having to look at the local market, we see that most sectors were actually down with the exception of gold. The gold sector was up nearly 10% over the last 2 weeks. And obviously you can see on the right hand side that Newcrest was up nearly 10% over the last 2 weeks. The worst performing sector, going down that list here in the middle, 6% down information technology, 6.7% the metal and mining, 7% consumer staples, and that's of course we're talking here about the supermarket chains. So we like to update these figures every weekend to give you an overview over the last 2 weeks. In terms of our stocks, I mentioned Newcrest was the best performer, nearly 10% over the last 2 weeks. On the negative side, going down the last column on the right hand side, 8% down by BHP. BHP at $31.70, that is down over 8% over the last 2 weeks. Followed by Rio and Westpac and Wesfarmers and Woolworths. All of these companies have actually been hit very badly over the last 2 weeks. As I mentioned earlier, is it time to start accumulating those stocks? We believe it is time to do so. And if you're interested, all you have to do is call the office. Finally, I'm going to show you as far as what's happening with our ex-date shares. Here we have, sorry, I haven't got it up. Anyway, most large companies have already produced their ex-date and they're most likely paying their dividends right now. Alright, let me finish by telling you who I am. My name is George Beiruthi. I'm the director here at FS Securities. As you can see, I have many years of trading and investment experience and several qualifications to support what I offer my clients. And my ambition today is to help our clients and prospective clients to become effective investors and traders. Who we are? Well, we are a fully licensed stockbroking firm located in Queensland. We trade shares, options, commodities, CFDs and foreign exchange, and offer our clients a very attractive investment at 7% over 1 year, interest paid monthly, or 9% over 3 years, interest paid monthly. Also, we are financial planners and we like to cater for all your financial needs. How to reach us? Our landline is 61 for Australia, 7 for Queensland, 56304141. That's our number. Alternatively, you can call my mobile. I am available to be reached 7 days a week. And obviously you can write to me at george@fssecurities.com.au, and we encourage you to visit our website where you can see our daily recommendations, daily scans, current trading positions and results. You'll also see our tutorials, education webinars, daily editorials and many charts and a lot of information. So why don't you register now for the 15-day free trial. Alright, that's all from us here at FS Securities. Remember to trade safely and wisely. We will be back at 1:15 this afternoon Queensland time to tell you what happened during the morning on the market. And meanwhile, happy trading and have a nice day.